within somebody, but if you basically, if we progress scientifically far enough, or at least those who have the funds to do the research, if they progress far enough, they potentially could replicate this and live for 500,000 years, while the rest of humanity, become like a serf under this, new kind of technotronic dictatorship, basically.
Well, you're getting into another field that we could probably talk another 2 days for.
Sure, yeah.
Yes. Now, interesting enough, Masonry presents that there has to be a balance of good and evil.
Okay.
Is it good to be able to alter natural livelihood, natural involvement, natural body skills, to extend attrition rates, all of those things?
Mm-hmm.
You come back, you talk about what is desired from a leadership point of view. Is there greed associated with it? You can associate evil with this manipulation of DNA.
Sure.
Superhumans, war, and all of those things.
Yeah.
I like to stay away from that.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that there are natural scientific attributes that can be manipulated, that could be for the good of mankind and for the good of man's health.
Like what?
Once again, eradicating certain diseases such as cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Allowing longevity. We're at the point now where people are dying younger because they're more stressed, because they can't handle the various facets in the world. I believe that just little by little, that we can increase the health of mankind.
But I hear what you're saying, but as I say it, that's because of the surrounding circumstances, meaning that, again, the world that we find ourselves in today, that's why people in many cases have bad health, because of the stress and all of this. And again, it's up to each individual. Do I want to be part of this game? How can I ease down a little bit on some of the amount of time that I work, just because, what is the gain here? It's a materialistic gain, basically. We want something new, so we work ourselves to death in order to get it, basically. But to me, it's the other way around. This is, especially if we bring in the spiritual component and knowledge in all of this, this is about getting more in contact with yourself and through natural means, and again through your own awareness, begin to recognize what it is that you're doing. And then if it's bad behavior, you got to stop that. That's how I see it, at least.
No, and, Ulrich, I agree with you totally. But, if we can achieve just a small measure of scientific good out of all of this and apply it within a reasonable manner, I think it will make the world a better place. You have to remember the Knights Templar. They were not adverse to the application of science.
Right.
But they stressed that science had to be applied, and this goes back to the two basic principles or tenets of Masonry. It had to be presented within a moral context.
Mm-hmm.
They use moral allegory to demonstrate how science can be applied, how sacred geometry, how astronomy, how all of those scientific principles can be applied for the betterment of man.
Right.
And I think that's I think that's the one moral that comes out of all of my teachings and learnings and my books, is that there has to be a balance. You're right. It can be used for good or evil. It can be used beyond the extremes.
Mm.
But I think that the world is in such a state that you're right. We have to get back to balance and appreciation and a more spiritual awareness of our surroundings, of the earth, because we are virtually raping the earth right now.
Right.
But the whole thing is, if there is an ability to develop an alternative form of energy that is green and sustainable, and that does not harm the environment in any way, would we be foolish to not use it?
Yeah, exactly.
Those are some of the questions.
Definitely. I totally agree there, because again, a more organic and kind of homogeneous, component living together, more with nature. But again, that doesn't mean that we have to become, Luddites and trash our, fancy new computers or whatever,
And you made the point. For 2,000 years, our guidance has come mainly from the leaders of certain royal families, or from the Vatican, from the church and state.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if what we achieve out of all of this is greater individual thought and reasoning, and the power for the individual to reason themselves within the world itself, and not having to be told by a leader or a priest what he should be doing that day.
Right.
As the Knights Templar, remember that the Knights Templar were warrior monks. They promoted a balance. They ended up negotiating truces with their enemies rather than slaughtering them.
But there was still they're still, and to this day, I guess, they're a Christian branch, and they represent that message. Isn't that true?
No, I would say that the first reason that the church turned against them is that they discovered something that allowed them the ability to reason a closeness to God without the aid of the church. Now, if you can walk outside and pick up a rock and feel closer to a supreme being, to the earth and to God,
right,
by holding that rock in your hand, what's to say that's wrong?
No one.
And this is where the Knights Templar brought together knowledge that they gained from the north, the south, the east, and the west. They were magical adepts. They had the ability to reason the supreme being. And this is what I believe caused the first schism between the two factions of the Knights Templar and the church themselves. They think about it. They would have had to discovered some proof. Did they discover that Jesus was only a man? They had to discover some proof that showed a direct connection to the Supreme Being. And this is what I believe that they discovered, and why they all of a sudden went from being the Vatican's elite guard to being chased around the world and tried to eliminate. The Vatican, the church and state has tried to eliminate anything for the last 1,000 years associated with Knights Templarism. You're right, coming full circle, the big question is, why now has the Vatican seen it fit to absolve them of all their crimes, supposed crimes? The Vatican is setting itself up for two purposes. Whoever discovers the connection that was lost is either going to be held up as a hero with the Vatican advisor standing behind them and being manipulated in that manner, or he's going to be totally eliminated, and whatever has been discovered is going to be salted away in the Vatican archives for the next 2,000 years.
Well, I can tell you it's very, very interesting ideas. And do you think that there is a timeline to all of this that we have been talking about here today? Meaning, again, this is something that is, it's ongoing in the news for those who follow it right now. And would you say that? Okay, let's say that a person, who either claims all of this, or that a surrounding organization in some way claims that this person is. This is it, and we should listen to this guy now. But do you think that this, is there a timeline on this? Do you think?
The timeline is getting quicker and quicker. Through my family ties now, over the last 2 years, I've been able to make direct contact with a number of North American elders. That one is the keeper of the prophecies, one is the gatekeeper. And they tell me that the time is getting very, very close to when these discoveries have to be made and have to be exposed to the world.
Hmm.
Now, I don't know if it's tied into 2012 or whatever date,
Right.
but I'm told that, and this is in part either subconsciously or consciously, why the Da Vinci Code has made such an impact around the world.
Mm-hmm.
People are waiting and looking for that to be discovered.
Hmm.
At the end of the Da Vinci Code, when they go to Roslin Chapel, just south of Edinburgh, on the Sinclair site, and they go into the genealogical records, and they Tom Hanks determines that the French lady is part of the genealogies of Jesus,
Right.
and of the bloodline. I always tell people that's not the secret. That is part of the secret, but you have to look beyond.
Hmm.
What does that represent? The question is, what good can that be used for? Is she a spokesperson for all of those people outside of established religion? Can she prophesize? Can she present the future direction that many people will follow? Or is the moral to the story that we should, as individuals, just present a reflection of the character that was refined in the movie, one being very soft, being very non-judgmental?
Well, exactly. There you go. I was thinking about saying that she's a symbol for something, nothing more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Hmm.
The question is, what is he a symbol of?
Yeah. Well, let's ponder upon that as we round things up here for this time. And again, I want to thank you very much for coming on the program. And as always, there's many more things to touch upon. And so, I mean, again, we'd love to have you back at some time to continue our discussion. But what's ahead for you? You mentioned your website, templargold.com. That's, I guess, a project then that you're going to be working on. Is there anything else in the pipeline, so to speak?
Well, in the pipeline, I'm putting together a group that this summer I pinpointed an area and I won't mention exactly where it is, in northwestern North America, and we're going treasure hunting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm taking with me a number of high-ranking Knights Templar, Masonic groups, but I'm also taking with me another cog to the connection, as I say, a number of Aboriginal North American natives, the gatekeeper, the keeper of the prophecies, these high-ranking elders that believe, and once again they came to me and said to me, how do you understand what our secret oral teachings have taught us for 1,000 years? And that was surprising to me, and they came to me and said, you were one of the missing pieces to the puzzle. Help us find that which was lost. And I said, okay. And so we're going to, and that will be the subject of my third book.
Okay.
We're looking to make a documentary of that.
Yeah, okay. So how are you going to, is that planned yet? How are you going to pull that together? Are you going to finance it yourself, or is there someone backing this? What's going on there?
Well, we've approached a number of radio programs and TV programs here in North America.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I don't want to mention too much, but it looks as though we have a major deal in the works.
Really?
That they will be following us.
Well, that's interesting. Definitely looking forward to seeing how that project develops. Go ahead and mention the books that you do have out there for us now and how we can get them.
The two books that I have, the first one is The Knights Templar in the New World, and the second one is The Templar Meridians, The Secret Mapping of the New World. Both of them are available at www.innertraditions.com. The publisher is located in Vermont,